Okay. I just want to get a quick thumbs up. Heather, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, just fine.
Right, okay. Music starts again. Getting a wee bit tired of that tune. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to this what will be a relatively short session, just to explore some of the ways in which you can develop your learning further with iHeart. Hopefully you've sort of seen something today that has sort of, either piqued your interest or has kind of, has given you some kind of sense of there's more to learn here. So really that's the purpose of what we're going to be going through today. So for those who don't know, my name is Jeremy Bogush. I'm the, I think officially the Chief Strategic Officer here at iHeart. And also responsible for really kind of a lot of the onboarding of trainees, of facilitators, and also involved in, I suppose, kind of the globalization of iHeart as an organization. With me is Heather Castleman. Heather is our Chief Integration Officer. She's based in Seattle. So it is, I think I've just gone 11 o'clock in the morning over there. And so, yeah, we're just going to give you a quick kind of overview of some of the things that are on offer that can really sort of help you guys. So I think what we want to do, I'm just going to quickly share a screen with you just to kind of contextualize some of what we're going to be looking at. So if you can just bear with me while I sort that out. Okay.
And also, please feel free to add to chat any questions that you came here with. This is an open session in that form too.
I'm having technical issues. Heather, just keep talking. I've just got to get up something.
Well, I will say hi, Mom. My mother in Seattle got up at 3 a.m. to see what the heck I've been so busy with. And I just saw her. She's on. So hi, Mom. That's all I got, Jez. You got to get this going now.
Okay. My ad lib is not what it was, but anyway, here we go. Okay, right. So as you may have seen, we created just a very sort of short page on the conference site, just to kind of give it a quick illustration of some of the things that are on offer for you guys. And we're just going to go into a sort of a quick deep dive about some of these. Now, I gave a session at lunchtime around the whole facilitator training. So hopefully we won't sort of be going over that too much, but that will be available on a record if you want to. Or again, if you want to find out more about the facilitator training, there's a very clear call to action here. You just click on there and that will then take you through to a place where you can book an individual Zoom call with me, so we can go into a bit of a deep dive around that. But we're not really going to discuss that in part on this call. So what we wanted to do really is to focus on these two kind of things here. I guess they're products. The first is something called Resilience for Life, which is actually a brand new program that we have just released, well, officially today. So we're going to walk you through that. And the second one is what we call Creating a Resilient Family. And we're going to walk you through that as well. And then there's a couple of other things we're going to cover as well. So I'd like to start with, I'm just going to stop share a second. just a quick overview of the Resilient for Life program. And this is something that we've put together really based on, I mean, as you guys are probably aware, iHeart's focus is really around youth, young people. But we are getting significant demand from a lot of people who are not youths, who are sort of a little older, who really want to learn this understanding in a slightly deeper way for themselves and not necessarily want to teach it to young kids. So we're kind of responding to that demand by the creation of this Resilience for Life program. What this program is out to sort of achieve in terms of outcomes is to kind of go into, let's say, more of a deep dive exploration of what the iHeart principles really are, and for you to have insight and exploration around that in your own lives in a more sort of kind of more deep, intimate sort of setting. And what we've done is we've created a program. I'm just going to bring up the schedule just to kind of, again, just to show you what this is all about. Sorry, I'm having technical issues there again. Sorry. Right. Okay, I'm having some technical issues. I can't bring up that screen for some reason, but basically, Heather, do you have the actual schedule for the program to hand at all? For some reason,
I do not, but let me see if I can grab it.
Jess, I'm here, and I can talk you through it if you like.
Okay, no, I was just trying to share my screen, but for some reason it won't bring up the schedule. So, have you got the schedule to hand, Brian?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, if you just want to bring that up and then share that with people.
Unfortunately, I can't screen. My sharing capacity is
Just
being disabled.
Just send it to me in email, Brian. That would be great, and I'll launch it.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Katie asked a question: does the parenting training deal with undoing conditions from old childhood surrounding, and do they deal with trauma, major health issues, and how to deal with life's larger pictures? And I'm going to show a little bit about the parenting class now, but indeed it does. We have a lovely clip from one of the facilitators, iHeart facilitators, who shares her story about dealing with cancer and how her past relationship to cancer was sort of the lens through which she looked at a current event of cancer. And it's a really beautiful teaching. So I will say yes, it does. And we can talk about that further if you wish.
Great. Okay.
You got it, Jack. Yes.
Yeah, got
Great.
it. Thank you, Brian. Sorry about that, guys. Right. So this is the schedule for the Resilience for Life program. The first thing to say, obviously, the whole thing is being delivered online. Now it's going to be starting on May the 5th and will end on June the 1st. So it's a relatively short program. It's around about 3 weeks. But what we've done is we've carefully put this together to have a mixture of different types of learning. So essentially, we're going to kick off on the 5th of May with a live Zoom webinar, just with a course overview with Terry Rubenstein, who will give a really good kind of overview of what you're going to be covering, expectations, outcomes, etc., etc. So that's on Wednesday, the 5th of May. That is then followed by really kind of what we call the iHeart framework, and really kind of ingraining that foundation into your own lives. And this is by way of recorded sessions, which Heather's going to go through with you in a second in terms of how that all works. What then follows after that is 2 deep dive seminar days, live interactive deep dive seminar days, which will really start applying some of the concepts around this, around the iHeart principles, around the resilience that you'll have started to sort of pick up in the iHeart framework foundation part. And it's a fantastic opportunity to really explore this learning further, to talk, to ask questions, to challenge if necessary as well, but really very rich learning days where you're really hopefully going to gain a lot in terms of insight around this understanding. That is then followed by a further 3 hours over 2 weeks, which is we're going to be providing additional clips, links, and materials to watch and read in self-directed time, again, just to start exploring and developing that learning further in your sort of own time. And then we wrap up on June the 1st with a further 2-hour wrap-up webinar, which is really just to start thinking about how this learning is going to be embedded in your own life, to address any other questions that you've got, and to potentially explore next steps for ongoing learning as well. So that's kind of hopefully gives you a kind of an overview of what the program's actually going to look like. And I suppose we're kind of calling this a relatively, it's not shallow based learning, it's not deep learning, but it's somewhere in the middle, if you know what I mean. So, but it's a fantastic way just to really, I suppose, develop that learning further, more than just maybe reading a book or listening to a couple of pre-recorded sessions. We wanted to provide something with a bit more depth. So that's what the Resilience for Life program is. Now, what I want to now do is I'm going to hand over to Heather, and she's just going to show you the foundation part of that and how that sort of works on our learning management platform. So over to you, Heather.
Okay, thank you. So we have 2 courses and are growing the number of courses that we have available as online sort of self-contained learning. We're also putting all of our programs in this program. This is a tool called Thinkific, and it works on every desktop, every operating system, and it really is a nice place for an online learning experience. This one is the Resilience for Life program, and it is a total of 7 sessions designed to let you go into each session, print out any worksheets you might have that will be referred to during the course, and then watch a session and exploring all the different sort of key concepts in the program. And we picked out a couple just to give you a flavor of how it feels. I've done some testing. I'm working in products and programs quite a bit, and I've done some testings with people of these programs and the parenting program. And it's quite remarkable and fantastic how much they're starting to really get the framework underneath iHeart, and then B, how intimate it feels. And I'll just give you a sense of that. They're videos, but Terry does quite an amazing job of having that experience feel quite intimate. I want to make sure you don't see a big gray thing on your screen. How's that?
All good, Heather.
Good.
Now I'm just going to show you what we are going to cover over these 7 sessions. So the first point is that our psychological system is an intelligent system. We're going to talk about what that is, and it's always bringing our experience to life for us. So it's bringing our personal reality to life for us. So we'll talk more about what that means. The second thing we're going to talk about is the fact that, as I just alluded to now, something I stumbled on that was not something that I'd ever thought about, was that well-being is built into our psychological system. This means it's unconditional. It's a done deal, and that no one and no thing can give us our well-being, and no one and no thing can take it away from us. If there are 2 important statements of the iHeart learning, I'd say it's those 2. No one and no thing can give us our well-being, and no one and no thing can take it away from us. I will absolutely guarantee you that most human beings will say that is not true. There are plenty of things that can give me more well-being. My family's safety, having financial security, you can just list them off, and there are plenty of things that can take it away from us. So that's something that might sound quite jarring to you at the beginning of this journey, but I hope that by the end of it, it will feel intuitive and it will resonate deeply with you. And in fact, well-being is our natural state. It's our default setting. It's the fabric of our psychological system. It's the raw material that it's made from, and it can never be damaged, and it can't be lost, and it can't be broken, but it can be covered up. It can be covered up. This is something I would have contested as a young person, because there were times I 100% did feel broken. I for sure felt broken, scarred, damaged. So the next point is that it's important to know if our psychological system is working from a true or false premise, as both will look logical to us. Now, we're going to define what a true or false premise is, but there's almost a way, psychologically speaking, that our minds are operating in a truthful way or in a kind of false way, and we're going to talk about what that is. We're going to define a false premise, and don't worry about this now because we're going to come to this later, as when we attach our well-being to someone or something. Thinking built on a false premise covers up our well-being and ultimately is unhelpful, limited, and imbued with insecurity, right? Now, we're going to define a true premise as when we don't outsource our well-being. And in those areas when we don't outsource our well-being, where we feel innately secure in those areas of our life, our thinking is going to be wise, helpful, and imbued with well-being and security. And we're going to operate from both these premises because we're human, true and false. But that's something we're going to come to a little bit later. We're also going to talk about point 5, that we have a compass, which helps us know if we're on track, working from a true premise, or we off track, working from a false premise. Now, wouldn't that be helpful? I mean, how many of us are reliant on a GPS on Waze, right? It's extremely helpful because it says to us, rerouting, you're off track, you're on track. We can always gauge if we're going in the right direction. Psychologically speaking, we're going to give young people and yourselves a compass that's going to let you know if you're on track, going in the right direction, or off track, and it's going to help reroute you. This compass opens the door for insight, which is an inbuilt capacity to autocorrect and reconnect us with our well-being. And that's part of this compass's job. It almost opens the door for you to see something that's going to allow you to redirect yourself. Now, there are signposts, which are kind of clues as to whether we are on or off track, and we're going to offer those up and teach you. You know, when you're on a journey and you see signs, it's really helpful. They kind of give you a sense of if you're on the right road, you know. If you're going to the zoo and you want to go in the opposite direction of the beach and suddenly you see a sign from the beach, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a clue I'm going in the wrong direction. So we've got signposts that allow us to see if we off or on track, and that's another thing we're going to share. So that is a summary of what we're going to cover. Now, the actual topics we're going to cover in the 7 sessions are going to be a bit like a puzzle piece. Each session is going to be one piece of the puzzle. Now, as you can well imagine, that if you have one piece of a puzzle, you can't see the full picture. If you have 3 pieces, you can't see the full picture. Once the entire last piece has been put in there, you're like, oh, okay, that's the full complete picture. So please be patient as we build up a picture of this learning for you in the next 7 sessions. So the first session, as you can see, is an overview and a defining of innate well-being. In session 2, we're going to explore innate well-being a little deeper and intelligent systems. Number 3 is going to be what happens when we attach our well-being to someone or something. And now you can see it's kind of going the wrong way around on the little puzzle slide, but that's because they all fit together. So number 4 is the mechanics of our psychological system. Let's see the actual nuts and bolts of how it works, the science of it. Okay, and number 5 is introducing the iheart poster, the compass and signposts. 6 is seeing the learning in real life and relationships. And there is a 7, but 7 is going to be FAQs, just commonly asked questions that often come up for people after this learning. And that's what we're going to cover in session 7. So that's a kind of overview of the topics that we're going to cover. So let's dive right into our learning. What does well-being mean? What does well-being mean? What does innate well-being mean?
Okay, that gives you a little taste of the first session, which is overview and defining well-being. And I'm just going to play a little bit of session 2, which is exploring innate well-being and intelligent systems. And then we'll come back.
And it's also worth
So what we're going to watch now is we're going to watch a video that I just love. And it's a little combination of certain clips, which is an expression of human beings living out of their innate well-being and showing how powerful that is and how beautiful that is and what that does for themselves and the world. As I said, that these qualities are innate within all of us, and just to see human beings operating out of them and seeing the effect that that can have in the world is very hopeful. So have a look at this video and we'll discuss it a little bit afterwards.
Well-being is innate to all human beings. We are born with it, and it is a part of us, always. Well-being includes qualities like kindness, hope, love, gratitude, peace of mind, wisdom, security, resilience and motivation. These emerge naturally when we are our best selves.
เขาจะได้อะไรถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวันเขาจะไม่ได้อะไรเลยไม่ได้รวยขึ้นไม่ได้ออกทีวีไม่มีใครรู้จักไม่ได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้นได้เห็นความสุขได้เข้าใจได้ความรักได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิม
I come across a lot of people who make the comment that they are looking for peace of mind. It is not out there waiting for you to come find it. It's an inside job. People make comments like, I'll have peace of mind when I have enough money, or I'll have peace of mind when I get the right job, or I'm able to buy the right house. But peace of mind is an inside job. There's no place you can go to find it, and there's no amount of money you will ever have to buy it. Peace of mind is actually in your mind.
The wisest person I ever met in my life, a third grade dropout. Wisest and dropout in the same sentence is rather oxymoronic. That third grade dropout, the wisest person I ever met in my life, who taught me to combine knowledge and wisdom to make an impact, was my father. A simple cook. Wisest man ever.
So that gives you a bit of a taste of the program. I'm going to come on back to Jez.
Thank you, Heather. Yeah, so that is forms, that gives, hopefully it's giving you an overview of what is really the foundation part of this Resilience for Life program. And then following that, that is when we move into the sort of the live interactive webinars, which are 2 whole days, where you can then really take what you've learned and sort of get further exploration, further insight, and really deepen your own learning in a more sort of interactive sort of setting. So that's really the purpose of those interactive days. So hopefully that's kind of given you guys an overview of what the Resilience for Life program is for, and essentially the outcomes of that program are, as I sort of mentioned before, a little bit more of a kind of a deeper dive exploration into the iHeart principles. And really it's suitable, I guess, for, well, kind of anybody really, but anybody who really wants to learn this more, wants to integrate it into their own lives, doesn't necessarily want to teach it to young people, but just wants to kind of live this and explore the sort of the potency and powerfulness of this understanding and how it can really transform lives, which is obviously what we're seeing every single day. So that's a little bit about that. Now, the other program that we just wanted to touch on was the Resilient Family program. This is a program that is predominantly, as you can sort of guess from the title, it covers how to develop more resilient families, whether you are a parent or a grandmother or a grandfather or a child, but really it's been designed for that purpose. So this program is I suppose a more of a lighter touch than the Raising Resilient Family program, in that it is only a pre-record, so there's no sort of live interactive sessions, but again is a terrific way for you to, I guess, gain a bit more depth and growth in terms of what you will have seen today. And I think Heather's now going to demonstrate that program on the Thinkific program, on Thinkific platform, just to give you guys a demonstration.
Sure. And I also wanted to share a couple of testimonials we just got back from some testing we've done for it. So let me first show a little clip.
Big part of that. Teachers and parents are all part of the child's world, right? You can't separate a child from the people who are the most important in their world. Parents, carers, people who are responsible for the child. So this is why this course means so much to us, because we want the parents to, first of all, have a sense of their own well-being and resilience, because we can only give away what we have as human beings, right? You know, if you have a $10 or 10 pounds in your pocket, you can't give somebody 20. You can give them 10, but you can't give them 20. If we don't know where to find well-being and resilience and why we think what we do and how to navigate our own minds, then how can we teach that or impart that knowledge to our children or to our families? So that's something that is very dear to us, that the young person and the people who surround and take part and complete their world, the educators, teachers, parents, all have a common language and learning of resilience and well-being. So that's where you fit into that. Now, this parenting course is going to be divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is going to really give you an instruction manual for your minds, right? How your minds work. Now, we give the same to the students and to the young. If your children are taking part in an iheart program, this is what they'd learn too. We're first going to give you an instruction manual, which is so helpful, right? I was in the class the other day and I was asking the students if they think it's helpful to have an instruction manual for how their minds work. And they were like, yeah. And they all gave me examples. Oh, I was trying to make a cat flap and I didn't look at the instructions. And then my mother gave me the instructions and then I could make it. I could see where I'd been going wrong and I could make the corrections. So part 1, what if we have everything we need inside? What covers up well-being? Getting to know your psychological system and getting to know your psychological GPS. Those are all going to be forming part of the instruction manual that's going to inform part 2. Now, part 2 is going to be more topic-based. Help, I feel insecure, anxious, worried, and full of guilt. Okay, now as parents, at times we feel completely overwhelmed, we feel insecure, we feel worried, we feel guilty, we're not doing such a good job. That's what that first session is going to be in part 2. Navigating conflicts in the home. The next session is going to focus on that, right? Conflict between siblings, parents, just relationships in the home. The next one's going to focus on my child's being bullied or my child is bullying another child. So dynamics between children, right? To really understand that. We're going to have to look at ourselves often first when we do these, because we have to understand it for ourselves, again, before we can impart this knowledge to our children. Labels are for jars, uncovering innate confidence. So the next one's going to be focused on how do we uncover confidence in ourselves and how does a child do that for themselves? Why are some children naturally confident and some really struggle with confidence? So we're going to look at, we're also going to look at labeling, when we label kids, when kids label themselves. And the last one of part 2 is dealing with addictive compulsive behaviors for ourselves, on our phones. You know, I'll give you a whole bunch of mine, right? But we all have them. And it could be that you overthink, that you're always on text or on the phone, or you're always grabbing, you know, the sugary foods, or there's certain behaviors that we do. We obsessively exercise, you know, to try and normally feel better. And our kids too, screen time, you know, all the kinds of things that kids are, like these behaviors that seem to have power over them, they don't seem to have freedom in the face of. We're going to have a look at that. And part 3 is just one session, but that session is going to comprise of commonly asked questions. Commonly asked questions that are going to probably, we're assuming, arise from you doing the course and program, and that's what we'll address. There will also be a few short videos in this course from people other than myself who are going to speak about parents who speak about how the iheart learning helped them with different parenting issues.
So that gives you a little bit of a sense. And then each session has a worksheet, and then some of the other parents, you can either read their stories or watch from their stories, which are also very helpful. So I'll just come on back and maybe we can address any questions, Jez, that people have.
Yeah.
Julia, thanks a million. I appreciate that.
I think someone needs to go on mute. Julian, can we mute that person? Thank you. Yeah, well, thank you for listening to that. So essentially, I think that there's been a few questions here, but I'm also conscious of time, and we want to give you guys a bit of a break. So we'll keep this very brief. But essentially, there's a couple of ways in which you can book these programs. Probably the quickest way right now is if you go onto the conference website and click Learn More. You'll see all the programs there, and there's specific calls to action you can click on that will take you through to that. For the parent program, it's very straightforward. You just click on it and download it, and it's there. Obviously, there's a charge for that of £49. And then Resilience for Life program, there's two things that you can do there. You can either purchase the product straight away, or you can find out more by clicking on one of the other calls to action. So that's that. Now, in terms of some of the questions that we've got.
Can I take on the questions just for a second?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to try and be thorough, but pretty brief. So Katie, I think I've answered that it does. I think the answer is yes, and happy to follow that up one-on-one with you about the parent course and where it's focused in terms of larger issues and medical issues and so on. Michael, we know the demands on government resources, but is there any interest from government to support what must be a very cost-effective way to tackle the mental health epidemic? Yes. In fact, there's been some great inroads in the UK with accreditation and in Scotland, and we're working on other countries as well, getting either blessed by their program or actually supported by their program, and also getting grants in as well. The Havelock kids that you saw earlier were a grant program. Julie, are you also interested in collaborating with universities in North America and Canada? I'm Canadian as well as living in Seattle. Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. Is there a benefit to do either of these two courses if you've already done the iHeart facilitator training? Rachel, I can honestly tell you, because I've sat through the entire Resilience for Life videos and the entire parenting videos, each time it is so helpful, so deepening. So the Resilience for Life is a nice deepening. It's also great if you know people in your life that just would like to get involved but don't want to teach in front of a class. So we're looking for people to join the movement of iHeart, become volunteers and influencers and help us partner with sponsors so we can get this into schools that can't afford it. So that's kind of it's like an intro level to just get involved as well. Samantha, is there any training that can allow us to teach iHeart to an older group, young 20s? There have been some movements with Terry and Charlotta in the program to make an older, mid-range older program. So please follow up with us, Samantha, directly. I'm happy to take that if you want to with me personally, and I can give you some more information. Did I hear Brian wanting to say something or somebody?
I think we need to sort of think about wrapping up.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything other than thank you guys. And I think because Marilyn's due to speak in 10 minutes as our last keynote.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, guys. But just to sum up, I would say there's plenty of information. If you require anything else or email addresses, you can contact either of us directly or just go onto the page just to kind of click on the calls to action there.
And Louise, a quick answer to your question. You said, how long will these launch prices? We expect at least a fortnight, I would say, probably. So at least the next 2 weeks. These prices will be available, but not for too much longer, hopefully. Guys, in exactly 10 minutes, Dr. Marilyn Bowman will be speaking as our final keynote, and look forward to seeing you then. Take it easy.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you, guys.